Hey, it's Brennan here. So, this is a complete rundown of the plan for world peace. We know that civilization was born largely in walled cities. Okay, the Forbidden City in China. Um, Germany has them all across the Middle East. You have to have security. Okay, and a lot of places they didn't have the stone to build the walls, so you build them out of clay, maybe, but they would just be torn down. If they're made out of wood, they just burn down or rot and stuff like that. But if you had them out of stone, this is where civilization was developed, and compassionate, intelligent, fantastic civilizations. Okay, varying in their compassion and their technological um, development or whatever. I'm winging this right here. Okay, I'm holding the thing in my hand. Okay, yes. There's a difference between them. So the idea is that with a little bit of cement, a little bit of fiber, you can build uh, earthcrete walls and create the security and the durability. Okay, um, of fibers, various fibers. The idea is that the material for the security walls comes directly from a trench where a road goes. So vehicles drive in this trench, and if they're trying to blow up the wall, they're in the trench, and so they're just like maybe putting a big dent in the trench, but that's about as good as it's going to get, because this trench might be 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 feet away, and blowing up that whole trench and the wall 50 feet away is unlikely. So you could have immense security there. And the materials are right there. Okay, literally just you're digging the trench, whatever it is, rock, clay, sand, whatever it is, you're adding a little bit of cement. You're having forms. You're doing some vaulted arches. You're doing basically the wall itself is like a honeycomb sort of thing with a bunch of with a couple of levels, platforms, and each deck, tier, I guess you call it, has little nooks after nook. So it would be like a small family could actually live in each one of these nooks. Okay, and we're talking just not rammed earth, how the Great Wall of China was built for security reasons. That kept the civilization alive for through the millennium, but just earthcrete, okay, and fibers. I'm not sure exactly where or what, but making these elements so that troubled countries. Now, what is a troubled country? I think it often has a sort of a qualitative, degenerative. The word is not primitive, okay? Not primitive, okay? Because you might as well be saying genetic, like some monster Frankenstein or something like that, okay? That's not even funny. Okay, so what it is just monsters, okay? Forget Frankenstein, just monsters, okay? It's not supposed to be funny, unless if you're on the right side of the wall, and you're always on the right side of the wall because it will be scientifically discerned. On the right side of the wall, everything is funny, everything is understanding. Funny as in like I love you. And this needs to happen in these most troubled countries all around the world, including our own. Okay, love your neighbor. It could just be getting on the right side of things. Okay, where people like you are. Whether you are poor or intelligent or vice versa. Okay, I'm not going to generalize that. I'm telling you that the computers can do that. Okay, and what we need is security. This is what civilization is based on. Humanity, in fact. So yeah, walls are civilization. This is the difference between being basically an animal, and even an animal is going to be happy in that little manger, okay, and where the inns are all filled up. The you climb that wall and suddenly like impossible to find a place. You stay on the wall, you know. It could be the good life there, really, around the world. Okay, so the troubles are the poverty, are the difficulties, and the opposite of difficulty is what the walls will contain: the love and the joy. Okay, and to make these walls utterly feasible. Okay, and this is civilization. You can't find a house that doesn't have walls, so there's nothing wrong with this. It's just being on the right side. And if you take any troubled city, I don't know, maybe it's Detroit, okay, and you build a security wall and say, okay, look, we want the gangsters to be on this side where they can have fun, okay, and not be criminals or whatever, okay, or to be treated like criminals because they get on the wrong side, okay, and to see this on a global thing, beyond the tradition of transport and into the ideal of transport, allowing tradition to maintain the environment, okay, and allowing technology to maintain us so that we can find the love. I mean, and whatever else we crave, basically. Technology can do this, and it can do it perfectly, and not sort of like wastefully or insulting or any way. Like me holding this phone is insulting. My arm. So this is truly it. The technology and the concept. I mean, cement alone, you go back just a little bit, 100 years ago, cement was very expensive. Now it's, I mean, you don't want to waste it. It's not like, just burn, endless shiploads of coal to make cement. No, you get the most use out of it. And when we have steel resources to make the best buildings possible, and I'll describe this as well, as I described the wall made from the trench where the traffic goes. Okay, so the pollution stays in the trench, and any sort of threat from vehicles stays in the trench and cannot essentially threaten the wall. So literally entrenched security, okay, for the ideal choosing. So the ideal architecture, okay, is basically an A-frame type of mini skyscrapers, where each beam, each A-frame beam, is holding a number of rotating offices. This is like the best way. So you're following the sun or avoiding the sun, whatever season it is. This would be like the ideal, like a flying saucer, okay, sort of flying octagon, perhaps. And this is the ideal. And then you have your this is your southern facing for the winter. These units would actually come down, so you could take them, put them somewhere else. Say this is artwork. This unit has been built, layered gold leaf or something like that. Mosaics of maps and phantasm. Okay, insulation. I don't know, covered with hairballs or something like that. Covered in my stink. He said, with the mustache, he said it, just what he did. Okay. So, I think this is the ideal architecture, and that actually requires steel, whereas a earthcrete security wall requires very little steel, just a little bit of structural membranes, a little bit of structural wiring. Membranes, that's not the word. Whatever fibers, I think they're straw, horsehair, I don't know. Cat hair, yes, that's it. Build with cat hair balls. Let's prepare the kitties. Okay. So the ideal architecture is this, where you have these rotating units. That way you can face the music, okay, and defy the noise, defy the troubles. Indeed, okay, absolute lament, okay, have the music. That is what beautiful civilization is about, and whatever level of civilization, whatever tune you are playing, okay, fantastic beauty of life and civilization. Okay, so and on the north side of these, so you have A-frames and you have a big auditorium, maybe warehouse in between. So everyone likes that, to have a big space, big hall for maybe some music, up above. It might be, some structural beams going there, so you might have office, bigger studios up above. And on the north side, it's just basically studio line sort of schools with the northern light, building, I don't know, whatever you do with Northern Light Studios, you sort of make the ideal products and stuff. Okay, I don't know. Whatever is being done. Maybe it's just literature. Okay, maybe it's just everyone's reading and solving the problems. Figuring out who belongs where. That's a very important thing. You don't need to be threatened by the light. You need the northern light of focus. Okay, and so that's it. Okay, that's architecture, and those like high-rise buildings, like A-frames, giant A-frames, have to be steel. Okay, I think that your civilization security walls. So basically, if you have a troubled city, and you can put a wall through that city with all the tunnel detection stuff omnipresent, and you can say, look, we want this type of person on this side of the wall and that type of person on that side of the wall. You can solve the problems, and so you don't have the rampant immigration fears from the Troubles, which again are sort of very typically an acute poverty. Okay, and let's sort of paint this out in a perfect manner to say that the Troubles are maybe intellectual disabilities, let's just say among the rich, okay, because I don't want to insult the poor and say that they have intellectual disabilities. They might have geniuses, okay. This may be the case indeed, and we want these people not to struggle, not to have to leave their place because people with intellectual or psychological problems, let alone sociological problems, which has only been around for a couple hundred years, less than 200 years or something like that. Sociology is this new thing that technology essentially creates the focus on the my earbud ear, sorry. So these are the troubles, okay, that if you have a way to identify and say, look, we've got a safe place for you over here, you fit in here, you're going to be happier here, these are the intelligent people over here, or these are the whatever, the fun people, okay, the clowns are over here, let's have fun. Honestly, okay, if there's respect, that's civilization, that's what we want to have. So, and this is very rather specific technology, okay? So, again, in the past they would build walls lined with stone and bricks and stuff like that, but now perhaps they could just be dirt mixed with a little bit of cement, which is fairly plentiful, okay? I'm not going to say it's not free. You have to I mean, maybe you could make cement with solar factories. Okay, comes in on ships, sail ships, perhaps trains going through tunnels. Okay, Southern California has deserts with solar elements. And, maybe you can make your cement with that, without the coal. Maybe just bake that limestone and everything else. I don't know. And making secure walls with just earth and that cement, formed perfectly, having machines which first demonstrate the wall and then maybe use that demonstration, that big form mechanism as the actual form to build the vaulted walls so that you have useful spacing, you're not wasting materials, and it's like nook after nook. So each little nook is like a little paradise for a family, okay, for individuals. Both. You could have a nook for your family and a nook for your office on this wall, which might be fantastic because you might conquer the troubles around the world. Okay, and again, these are everywhere, and we have to identify them not only in every class, but in every family, including our own, to say, hey, well, look, yeah, one out of 100, maybe even 1 out of 10 people are going to have troubles, whether psychological, intellectual, sociological. That's the big one. Okay, no doubt about it. I claim the testimony to that. So is George Washington. The New World. Okay, the troubles don't need to happen. What you need to have is discernment. You need to have the elements, and you need to have an exchange so that you can find intelligent people on both sides who are alienated, who need to be somewhere else, and to manage the troubles, as in not just the sociological. So that's is like the great peak, and then the psychological is sort of this plateau of sort of cow pies. Okay, be honest, right? And then the intellectual is that the mudslide, that dirty creek or whatever, the intellectual, where all the psychological manure flows down. Okay. The intellectuals, or the great peak is just heavenly. You cannot even get toilet paper up there. Come on. Okay. So this is the technical solution to solving the world's troubles. Okay, because that will people who don't care will not save the environment or anything else. Okay, so you have to quantify that, and this is very scientific, and you have to protect and accommodate the differential, the sort of the element of security, okay, without sort of assuming that a cop's going to walk out into no man's land, okay, just because you've got a camera, okay, or some wild inspiration. Instead, to have my thumb here, a place and a way to discern, to say, look, we've your people like you, people of your intellect, are over here. It's going to be great. Okay, and it's going to be easy. It's really going to be easy to have a fantastic civilization, for every civilization to become fantastic, for every culture to become fantastic. This will be an amazing, whatever word, more words. Okay, love, amazing, loving, stupid. Okay. It easily see, it's him. He did it. You did it. It's him. Okay. So this is the technological solution. It sounds like a divine comedy, but it's a divine love if you can be with your people. That's the truth.